The comic book industry has been dealing with supply chain issues for a very long time now. We've been through the great manga shortage for, I don't know, is it going on 2 years now? DC Comics had a ton of delays. Now Marvel Comics having even more delays. Now I'm gonna ID these for you. I'm gonna list them all out, but the list is so enormous. I'm gonna kind of do it at the end of the video. So there will be chapters in here, so you can just skip to that point. If you want to hear the Marvel comics that are delayed, where they're delayed to and stuff like that, just in case it's on your pull list, because I know a lot of people are probably interested in that. But I'm here to tell you that sometimes you have to take lemons and make lemonade. Sometimes you're stuck on the side of a mountain in Afghanistan, and you don't get the stuff that you're supposed to get, and you just have to adapt to the current situation. Obviously, being in the military, being in Afghanistan in a wartime situation is a little bit different. A lot of life and death stuff going on, but I imagine business is much the same. You have to be adaptable to the market circumstances that you're in. We've seen that there is a tremendous shift in the comic book market itself. The industry is changing, but Marvel and DC really haven't been able to keep up with it. That's why you're seeing them lag so far behind as far as graphic novel sales, stuff like that. And part of this evolving market is that we do have these supply chain issues, and it's caused a lot of really weird stuff to happen in DC and Marvel. We're going to talk more Marvel than DC here today, but I'll tell you this, next week in Batman, they tell you to look out for a comic book that is released a month later. Also in Marvel comics, there's been several instances where essentially stuff has been spoiled because the comic books are being released out of order, at least the way that they were supposed to be released. It's causing a lot of chaos kind of issues. Obviously, people are expecting their comic books when they're supposed to show up, and they're showing up very, very late, probably really affecting retailers the most. I know I Can Wait. There's something that DC and Marvel probably should have done to adapt to the current market situation. We know Marvel Comics specifically have a flood the shelf strategy. Before the pandemic, there were some months where they were releasing over 100 brand new comic issues. That's a lot of comic books. We're talking like on average over 25 a week. That's a lot of comic books. That's a lot of quantity without a whole lot of quality. There are good comics from both DC and Marvel, but the quality is lacking for the amount of content that they're actually putting out. They probably should have seen all these circumstances happening, tightened the ship, and went for a quality over quantity comic book publishing strategy. There are plenty of comics that DC and Marvel are putting out right now with no-name creators, with, quite frankly, characters that people aren't all that interested in. And sure, they might sell pretty well on issue number 1 because you have a ton of variant covers and whatnot. But for the most part, not a lot of people are clamoring for the Tim Seeley Spider-Gwen Gwenverse comic. Why even release the damn thing? Why even make it? They should be batting down the hatches and really focusing on the very best comic books that they can put out. Specifically over at Marvel, there will be weeks now, every month it feels like, where everything essentially got delayed, except for maybe like 4 or 5 comic books. And the stuff that they're throwing in there just isn't very good. And it's just like, wow, what a dead week for Marvel. Like, why did they even schedule it this way? Obviously, they didn't mean to. That wasn't the plan. But they don't have enough good comic books right now. If they said, you know what, let's trim off the fat. Let's get rid of the stuff that people don't really want. Let's cut back on some of these creators that just aren't cutting their weight as far as selling and whatnot. Put those books on the back burner. Let's stop wasting our editorial staff's time on stuff that isn't going to sell anyway, and just concentrate on your Hulk book, your Avengers book, your Spider-Man book, Captain America, Iron Man. Who would have thought that you could actually put some thought and effort into putting out a good Captain America comic? We're not really getting that now, and I don't expect the Jackson Lanzing, Colin Kelly, or the Toshi Onyebuchi comic books featuring the 2 Captain Americas that we have now to be all that good. Why even do that stuff? It's a wasted effort. When you can't put out a full line anyway, they should have just tightened everything up and really concentrated on going full-blown quality over quantity. And I think that would really, really revitalize interest in comic books and bring people back into the comic book shops. The direct market could use an adrenaline shot. It's doing pretty good. It's doing better than I think most of us anticipated, but it's not really keeping up with the rest of the comic book market. That doesn't really need to be that way. A lot of comic book store owners are wasting their money on comic books that really aren't that good anyway. Sure, 4 or 5 people are going to buy the second issue of Spider-Gwen Gwenverse, but what if instead of wasting your time even producing that, wasting your money and your effort on that, you just went full bore into making Thor the best comic it could be. You've already got a big time writer there. You got Nick Klein as the artist. Just think about what you could accomplish if you had even more resources being pumped into that comic book and more attention paid to it. You could have an event, this Axe Judgment Day event could feel like a big deal. We could have been leading up to this for months, not only just in Eternals, but in all the comic books. And when it actually happened, instead of just tying into a couple of X-Men comics, you could have the ripples of this big superhero fight that's going to be going on in the Marvel Comics universe. It could really affect every comic that's being produced, and that would feel important. It'd almost be like, what's going on here? Did I miss something? Maybe I need to go to the comic shop and check out what this event that I decided to skip was, because it feels like it's important. I'm seeing cool stuff in my comic book. And I do think Marvel really missed an opportunity to really identify a problem, identify an issue, not their problem, but a mitigating circumstance that was preventing them from putting out their flood the shelves strategy and implementing it and saying, you know what, if we can't flood the shelves, let's put the very best comic books we can put on the shelves. Let's bring the line down. Let's scale it down to maybe 40 new comic books in a month. And instead of a bunch of crap, every single month there's 10 kick-ass comic books, and our editorial staff wouldn't be worked to the bone. We could put the very best artists with the very best writers. Wouldn't that be amazing? That would be something so un-Marvel, it would blow people's minds. And I think people would get very excited about it. There doesn't need to be this many X-Men comics right now. Just think about if they concentrated on X-Men, X-Men Red, Immortal X-Men, 3 X-Men titles at the same time. That's plenty for the X-Men universe. They've already got their best writers on there. You could throw R.B. Silva, maybe bring in Pepe Larraz and Stefano Caselli and put those on those books. Those things would be kick-ass, and maybe you could figure out and fix your X-Men problem. There are a lot of issues with the Avengers line right now. The Avengers comic sucks. Avengers Forever is almost as bad. Iron Man doesn't sell. Captain America doesn't sell. Black Panther's pretty good. I like Black Panther, but that's about it, other than Thor right now. Obviously, Thor with Donny Cates and Nick Klein is doing well, but they could really do some great things and really change people's minds about the overall quality associated with Marvel Comics right now. If they had seen the problem, which they obviously did, there's no way that they didn't see these things coming, and said, what are we going to do with the circumstances that we have? It almost feels like they thought, well, if we ignore it, maybe it'll get better, rather than taking the opportunity to really do something cool with Marvel Comics and making these stories matter. I think is a big opportunity missed. Obviously, these issues are going to continue to go on, but they really should do something, because just delaying everything, and there are important comics like Spider-Man and these event comics along with Spider-Gwen isn't a really good strategy. Comic book fans want to be able to go to the comic shop on Wednesday and find their new comic books that they expected and that they put on their pull list. So I think Marvel missed the boat on this one. Hopefully they do something and really start learning from manga. There's a lot of manga that gets published, and it never, ever reaches the shelves in America because they are curating the line and only putting the best stuff on the shelves. And I think that's one of the reasons there's so much confidence in manga in comparison to Western comic books, specifically Marvel and DC. Now let's get into these delays, and there are a lot of them. It's going to take me a while to get through it. I'm sorry if all of your comic books are getting delayed, but it's highly likely. So let's get into this list. It's going to take a little while, and then we'll wrap this up. This week should have seen Venom Lethal Protector 2, Wolverine Patch number 2, Immortal X-Men 2, X-Men Red number 2, but they are all delayed until the 18th of May, with subsequent issues knocked on further into subsequent months. Spider-Gwen Gwenverse number 3, also meant to be out, has been delayed even later until the 15th of June. Deadpool Bad Blood, which is a reprint, delayed from the 18th of May to the 31st of August. Same with Hulk number 9, delayed from the 13th of July to the 17th of August. Star Wars number 26 is delayed from the 6th of July to the 17th of August. Star Wars Halcyon Legacy number 5 is also delayed off of the 8th of June as well. The Amazing Spider-Man launch already has been delayed. The first issue was a week late. The second issue should have came out today, now delayed until the 25th of May. Amazing Spider-Man number 7 delayed from the 6th of July to the 3rd of August. Amazing Spider-Man number 8 delayed from the 27th of July to the 17th of August. Axe Judgment Day number 1 delayed from the 6th of July to the 20th of July, and number 3 from the 20th of July to the 10th of August. Ghost Rider number 5 delayed from the 22nd of June to August 3rd. Ghost Rider number 6 delayed from 26th July to August 3rd, the exact same date. Apparently they're going to double ship Ghost Rider. X-Men Legends number 1 delayed from the 18th of May Number 2 is delayed from the 29th of June, and number 3 delayed from the 27th of July. And they are all delayed till the 3rd of August. They're going to triple ship X-Men Legends. That is obviously going to change. Thunderbolts number 1 delayed from the 25th of May. Thunderbolts number 2 delayed from the 29th of June. Thunderbolts number 3 delayed from the 27th of July, all to the 3rd of August. That will change. Avengers Forever number 8 delayed from the 6th of July, and Avengers 1 Million BC from the 13th of July. Both are now on the 3rd of August. Apparently, everything is releasing on the 3rd of August. Exterminators number 1, a comic book that doesn't need to exist. Wolverine Patch number 2, and X-Men House of 92 number 4, delayed from the 6th of July to the 3rd of August. X-Men Unlimited, X-Men Green number 1, delayed from the 18th of May to the 3rd of August. Issue number 2, delayed from the 22nd of June to the 31st of August. Spider-Man 2099 Exodus number 5, delayed from June 29th, and Spider-Man 2099 Exodus Omega number 1 is delayed from the 6th of July. Both of them are also going to ship supposedly on 3 August. Obviously, not everything in the world is going to ship on 3 August. Those dates are going to change, but you can see massive, massive delays. Spider-Man's being delayed. Events are being delayed. X-Men are being delayed. Star Wars books are being delayed. Even crap like Spider-Gwen is being delayed. Why not just cancel it? Why not just cancel Exterminators? Nobody asked for that comic book anyway. Why not just cancel or indefinitely delay Spider-Man 2099 Exodus? Nobody is frothing at the mouth, just jonesing to read that comic book. I understand that there's an anniversary date associated with it, but it probably ain't worth the effort. Marvel Comics are not able to keep up with their production schedule as they have it set out now. They need to rein things in. They need to move from a quantity to a quality-focused comic publishing strategy. They just don't have the materials right now to keep up with what they would like to do. Rather than wasting your time on a bunch of comic books nobody wants, it's time to focus your efforts on your most important characters, really satisfy the fans. If you put out 10 kick-ass Marvel comic books in a week and everyone knows they're all good, they're going to buy all of them because there is an unquenchable thirst by comic book fans for really good comic books right now. Marvel has absolutely missed an opportunity, and hopefully it's not too late for them to adjust their strategy, adjust to the market like I had to do when I was in Afghanistan, and really kick ass and take names in 2022. If you made it to this point in the video, I imagine you're a big Marvel Comics fan. Maybe you would like to go in the Wayback Machine. Not that long ago, I had a conversation with Eric Breen, and we talked about essentially the genesis of Marvel Comics as we know it. He calls it the greatest era in Marvel Comics history. This was a really fun conversation. Learned a lot about Marvel Comics history from my good friend Eric Breen. The man loves comic books, and he loves talking about the history of comic books. Definitely check this out if you got some time.